Well, to get more insight into how the economy has fared in the last 8 years, we're now being joined by an economist and the chief executive of Flame Academy and Consulting Limited, Mr. Orji Udemezue. Welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you very much, and it's my great pleasure to be on this platform at the moment. Thank you for inviting me.
Talk to us about your assessment of the outgoing administration's performance on the economy.
In summary, I would want to say that this administration started very poorly, and while we thought that the President, His Excellency Buhari, with all due respect, intended to leave a better name behind before leaving, that unfortunately has not happened. If you remember, early on in the administration, after the election that we thought would bring untold disaster to the country, and we had a president who handed over to the opposition party without any crisis, Nigeria gathered from international community a huge level of goodwill. And that whole goodwill was wasted with the administration of Buhari not appointing ministers 6 months after being sworn in. And the whole goodwill was totally eroded. And then thereafter, with the oil price going down, we slid into a very bad recession, which has kept us struggling between then and now. And if you want to look at what has happened in the past 7 years, which evidence is lying in the lives of every Nigerian, every family, every household, and several businesses, and of course not helped by the recent COVID pandemic and now ongoing Russia-Ukraine crisis, Nigerians have been left much, much worse off than Buhari and his team met it. That's being frank to ourselves. Even though a great effort is being made on image laundering to promote what is unpromotable in terms of the performance of this administration. If you give me a few minutes, I can go down to some little quick details about some parameters just to do some economic exercise. Otherwise, the facts live in the lives of every Nigerian that we are much worse off today than we were in 2015, in fact, all ramifications.
Yes, talking about the life of the Nigerian, do you think the economy was also responsible for sort of the mass exodus we've seen, young men, women, even the not so young, leaving the country for greener pastures?
Even those who are well employed, I have personal data, close friends that I will even wake up and say, hello guy, how are you doing, on WhatsApp? And the person says, oh, just sorry I didn't tell you, I'm no more in this country. I've relocated to Canada or to UK or to America. People are living in droves, both the employed, underemployed, semi-employed, and even very well-employed Nigerians. People are leaving for several reasons, and these reasons, cut across the three major, or the tripod upon which this administration came in. Nigeria today is more corrupt than, we were in 2015, and things are not working. You can't get a job. You can't get business permit. You can't run your business without multiple tax and several issues. That's why people are leaving. People are leaving because they can't get jobs. Security is getting worse and worse. You have a great job. You are paid good salary. But whether you live in Abuja or in Oka in Anambra State or Kaduna in northern Nigeria, or you live in Enugu, or you live in Taraba, northeast, or you live in Kano, nobody is safe anymore. Even in Abuja recently, we had attacks coming even close to the seat of government. People are leaving because they are unsafe. Families are moving in droves because they are unsafe. And on the third issue that the government said they are going to leave us better economically, Nigeria is now struggling as an economy. Things are not going well. We are now begging to even pay salaries. We are begging to be able to carry out any project we see on ground. Our debt service to revenue ratio has now got to 96.3%, according to the World Bank report about 2 months ago. And for those who don't know what that means, it means that if Nigeria earns 100 naira today, we spend 96 naira or thereabout to service our debt, and we are left with 4 naira only to pay salaries, do other things that help the economy grow, including infrastructure. So you find that we don't even have enough money to run recurrent expenditure, to run our bogus government system, where the legislature and all of those, suck up whatever we have, leaving the country high and dry and making no progress.
You've spoken about a number of issues, but then there's also the pandemic, and not forgetting the recession which we suffered, and then there is the rising inflation and many other things, the Naira redesign as well. Perhaps in a few seconds, what economic legacy would you say the Buhari administration is leaving for the incoming one?
This government is leaving behind a legacy of careless economic management, a legacy of total incompetence, and a legacy of neglect to the common man in the street. I don't know how many more minutes I have, but economic growth has slumped from an average of 5-6% before they took over to now around 3%. Recent report says we are somewhere around 3.1%, economic growth, which is very, very bad, close to population growth. So, and every day people are sliding into extreme poverty. Unemployment has gone very, very high compared to what they met. Inflation is now double digit, above 20%. And look at miserability of Nigerians. When you look at when you look at the Hanks in the misery index, Nigeria is now much more miserable than we were in 2015. Balance of payment. When I'm looking at major economic factors, just to cut it short. Balance of payment equilibrium and FX liquidity, we are at a very worst stage. This government met us having a dollar exchange for about 200 naira or 185, if I remember. Today we are talking about reality, about 740 naira to $1. That's a very bad record. And every single day, the central bank, with the authority of the federal government, keeps wasting the scarce FX that we get in the name of defending the currency. Multiple windows. And finally, if you want me to also mention, income inequality is getting worse in Nigeria. The poor are getting much poorer, and the rich, the politicians, are getting wealthier and wealthier by the day. And then that leads to a lot of kidnapping, a lot of crime going on in the community because people are trying to equalize the economy.
Just to quickly get this point in,
much worse off today than we were several years ago.
In terms of infrastructure, any credit to this government?
Yes, thumb up that at least we are seeing something on ground. Unfortunately for me, when you weigh what you're seeing on ground, of course I commend the fact that finally, we're almost at the end of constructing the Second Niger Bridge. Finally, we have the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway almost being completed. We're still on it though. Finally, it appears Kano to my degree Express is also getting better. I was on the road from Kano to Bauchi a few days ago. I also came from Bauchi to Abuja a few days ago. What I met on the road is a disaster. These roads need urgent attention, both in the north, in the south, in the east and west. East-west road is still a huge, uncompleted project. So much is left to be done. But some good things have been done by this administration in terms of infrastructure. But when you weigh that together with the multiplying debt portfolio, you find that so much of the money borrowed for infrastructure are being wasted, while a little is done on ground to maybe show that this debt we are taking. But maybe I can say that application of this debt value is not gotten when you compare how much we are owing to how much we've done in the terms of infrastructure. Maybe we use these projects as an excuse to borrow, while we use most of the money to solve our impending, internal problems that are merely recurrent. Sorry to say.
Thank you. We do want to thank you for joining us on the news at 10. Chief Executive, Flame Academy and Consulting Limited, Mr. Orji Udemezue. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much. Nigeria belongs to all of us, and we all have a duty to make it well. Thank you so much.